every month you go without a real content strategy is another month competitors are going to take deals from right under your nose. Okay, you have the offer, you have the expertise, credibility, the results, but what you're missing is that repeatable system that turns all of that into content that actually pulls pipeline. So in this video, I'm going to show you the exact B2B content marketing strategy that we built from scratch using a real life example. So this is the process we ran for Eeyore. He's founder of Akaza. They are a recruitment tech startup. They have no content in place, no content strategy, no content infrastructure. And we are going to go through the entire build fully mapped to his ICP, his offer, and his market. Okay, I've built GTM content engines for B2B founders, SaaS, GTMEs, RevOps. I've had 5 years in the content game. I've burned thousands of dollars on experiments, and I've failed way more times than I care to admit. But because of that, I know exactly what works and what does not. So you don't have to find out the hard way. So let's walk through the sections here one by one. We'll go in sequential order because I think it's very important to do all the groundwork before you actually start creating videos. Most people skip that. And I won't blabber on too much. I'll get right into it. So step number one, we got acquainted with the business before we touched a single topic. Here is where we sat down with Eeyore and his sales team, and we got a deep understanding about his background and his founding story. What are the core service offerings? How do you position them? Where he sits in the recruitment tech market, and what his current sales motion looks like. We like to know what the business is doing as a whole, so that way we can help justify how we're going to roll content out. I think it's really important that we understand the background and the founding story, because as we're creating videos for somebody in a space, to keep it more personalized and less generic, we can pull in real insights and we can pull in real stories from the founder himself speaking. And that's what makes content warm. That's what builds trust. And that's what we do in all of our content, including our own and for our clients. Core service offerings. This is really important because not only do we understand what they are, but how they're positioned. Because what Eeyore is doing is very interesting because it's not just a recruitment tech firm. It's recruitment tech for enterprise. That's very specific, and the terminology is going to be very different in how we roll things out. So get an understanding of how your service offering and your positioning relate to one another and how that can influence your content. And that's what we did for Eeyore. Where he sits in the recruitment tech market, what are his competitors doing, what do they look like, does he have any competitors, is it blue ocean, red ocean, what does that look like as a whole, and current sales motion, what is he doing? Is he running ads? Is he running cold email? Is he doing other efforts for content marketing? We have this full picture of the company, because that way we can have grounded business context content. So without this stuff, this is where the foundation of most content marketing becomes shaky, because they're just spitting out content ideas and they have no natural bridge in the content to how their services and their offerings can solve the problem at hand that they're talking about in the video. This is so huge to do, and I recommend starting with all of this, and I'll show you all the documents that we ended up creating for Eeyore. Okay, so based on that, then we get into what we call ICP mapping and AI extrapolation. Most people understand who their ICP is by specific filters like job title, industry, company size, revenue range, if they got funding or not. But those are filters. Folks, those are filters for a specific demographic and psychographic. What we want to know is the mapping of the brain for your prospects. And these are the 4 things that we always cover. Daily pain points, buyer objections, limiting beliefs, and dream states. This allows you to understand how your prospect psychologically is stalling deals with their limiting beliefs and objections. What are the pain points they suffer with daily? Not just revenue, not just lead flow. What is that psychologically deeper that they're experiencing on a day-to-day? If they're a founder, that pain is going to look different than if they're a director of HR and they want to find solutions for their specific recruiting processes. So for Eeyore and Akaza, we made sure that all of these 4 things were deeply understood from the founder and the sales team, but then we use our AI models to extrapolate on that. So it's not like we're just putting bullet points into our content strategy. We're getting a deep narrative of how this person thinks in a pain psychological state. And then dream state over here as well. This is what it looks like after they work with Akaza. What does that dream state look like? How does their business function? What are the best things that they're getting out of this current service offering that they were not getting before? Okay, so I'll show you here. This is where we have what we call a knowledge base, but I'll hone in here specifically on the target audience, or ICP. So you can see it when we extrapolate who Akaza is built for. The primary profile, what does that look like? company size, company age, and character. These are very specific things that you need to know, like I said. However, now we're going deeper. Then we get into the decision makers. Who are they? What do they do? How does the service offering relate to them? Who are the secondaries? Who are the influencers? We're getting an understanding of how we can service the enterprise and work our way in through different avenues. Coming down a bit more, what these organizations look like day to day, how these buyers think, biggest pain points. This, you can see, this is a very well-versed document, what they want, what they fear. These are not just bullet points. This is a deep understanding of how we can use content to influence this specific buying journey. Okay, and I'm going to show you how we plug this into AI, so you don't have to read this every time. But all in all, we got the deep understanding of the ICP, and then we used our specific AI models to extrapolate and get that broader understanding. Coming down here to offer and market alignment, this is very crucial because this is where conversions fall off and where most content fails. When we look at the offer of the business as a whole, how it's currently offered in the market, how it's communicated on the website, what is the sales team saying on discovery calls, and how that is now going to be influenced on their YouTube channel or on their marketing channels, all of that needs to be in alignment. Because if it's not, if somebody's coming in from sales going to the website, if they're going in from YouTube coming to the website, and they're all saying different things, you're creating cognitive friction. They're going to bounce. They're going to go to your competitor who maybe does a worse job than you. However, their marketing is clear and consistent. It makes it easy for them to book a deal or book a call, get in touch. All of that needs to be aligned. So when we sat down with Yor and we got an understanding of his business and we extrapolated using our AI, we found how to unify all of this from sales to marketing to the website to their YouTube channel. And again, same thing, why this matters. If your content's saying one thing but your website is not, your sales team is saying another, your prospect's going to lose trust. So overall, this is what we got and a deeper understanding down here. But the offer in one line is know who can do the job before you ever speak to them. And this is really powerful because your software and Atakaza, what it does is it pre-screens and pre-qualifies the applicant using their AI models. And not only does it do that, but it builds a streamlined way to only present the best possible candidates inside an enterprise business where they have no operations. They're doing things old school. They're interviewing a million candidates. They're wasting all this time on people who are going to onboard, and 30, 60, 90 days they're going to leave because they didn't actually, or they weren't able to do the job. So in one line, we're able to communicate, know who can do the job before you ever speak to them. And then the rest of the content downstream, the topics, the sales team, the website, it's all going to be based off of this overarching offer or this funnel alignment. So you can see it looks so simple, yet it's so strategic in the way that it's selected. Okay? So we've done a quick checkpoint here. Number 1, getting acquainted with the business. Number 2, ICP mapping and AI extrapolation. Offer and market alignment. All right. Now, if this is resonating with you and you're wondering, okay, this is a lot of work, I want to put this into business myself, I want you to book a call with myself and my team and open a conversation. I've left a link below in the description to show you how we can roll this out for you in 30 to 45 days, all mapped to your ICP, to your industry, to your service offerings, everything. And all our clients start by using the link below to just open the conversation with us. Okay. Anyways, I digress. Back to step number 4, section number 4, credibility engine. This is where we're turning what you already have into pipeline leverage. When people can see what you have built, what results you have generated, or you explaining things in a way that showcases your expertise, you are now shortening and compressing the cycle of trust and sales because they have seen, number 1, back to the pain points. Let's go all the way back here. They've seen somebody in their specific scenario or their specific position and how your service got them to that dream state. And this credibility engine, it does that subconsciously because you're showing a client from A, where there's nothing in place, to B, the dream state. Exactly what I'm doing in this video. I'm showing you how we've built this pipeline or this content strategy for Yor and Akaza who has no content strategy in place. You're seeing the demonstration in real time. And then if you want to get even more specific, depending on what you've done, you can look at specific outcomes. What were the timelines? What were the transformation? What is the framework or processes that you developed in all of that? So we sit down with a Kaza, or we sat down with them, and we do this for all of our other clients, and then we say, walk us through what you've done. Tell us, just throw it up and speak it all so we can capture that in real time. And then we can build content strategies around these specific frameworks or processes. What were the specific outcomes and timelines? What have they achieved? And this again shortens that trust cycle. And you can see here with case studies, this is what we do. I'll just show one here. But they have all of this, and it tells a deeper narrative, so we deeply understand what case study or what results was done. And we have this as a knowledge base for our clients, so that way anytime we need to refer to it, we just pop back in and keep the credibility engine rolling and infuse it into the content. Coming down here a bit more with section 5, this is where we define what success actually looks like for content. Most people just start posting content, like I said at the beginning of the video, but if you don't know what your goals are, you don't know what to track, you don't know what to measure, you don't know what to double down on. So we align on very specific things, and there's usually a pyramid we have here, solid with the base here, AEO, GEO foundation, because YouTube is a massive search engine. People are missing that point. They're not capitalizing on it. Founder-led brand, you're showing up face first. What that's going to do for your prospects, it's a beautiful thing. Sales enablement, we're not just making how-to content, we're making sure content can actually move someone to a booked qualified call, or to at least pre-warm and pre-sell them, so that way they're in your ecosystem, they're warmer to sell to, and then ultimately get that conversion. So what we aligned on for Eeyore was his primary, secondary, and long-term, as you can see here. Just we want to build that searchable video presence that warms cold outbound leads before human conversation. And then secondary is create that library of content that I said pre-handles objections, which is that sales enablement over here. We're not making pretty content. We're making content that looks good, but does something for the business. And then long-term goal is we want to establish Eeyore and Akaza as that go-to voice for recruitment tech buyers in the enterprise space before making a decision. And then doubling down on that AEO, GEO strategy, because if you're going to look for something long-term, AEO, GEO is long-term, and having you establish that presence is going to make such a monumental impact on your business in 3, 6, 12 months, and it only compounds. So we identified these marketing goals for Eeyore. Then moving on to number 6, this is where we get exciting. This is where we start building, for every client, we do a custom Claude agent. And this is like a central intelligence hub for everything Akaza. And you can see we have the full ICP profile, and we extrapolate on their case studies, their target audience, their service offerings, the credibility engines, and everything else that was surfaced in the discovery call. And we feed that into the agent one time. So I'll show you here actually as we go to it. I can pop it open here. But look, what we have is such a massive central intelligence hub, because we have those documents, like I said, the ICP, service offerings, how they're positioned in the marketplace, personal background and story, but we also feed it our script anatomies. We feed it our video styles. We feed it our tonality. We feed it the strategist of a B2B marketer, so that way anytime we go to this writer and we reverse engineer titles, or we look for specific things to create content around, this is going to be so much more powerful than going to Claude or GPT to just say, hey, give me 10 topics to write. This is your business in an AI model, and we've done this for Eeyore. So I'll even give you an example. Like if you just ask it, what is my ICP? You can see this thing deeply understands Akaza. So I'll watch it populate here. Look, it references the knowledge documents. It understands the different people we're talking about, the companies, all of this good stuff. Even still, we can talk about Eeyore at a high level. Who am I as the founder? Okay. Founder, if I could spell. It'll probably pick that up. It's smart. Yeah, it understands Eeyore. It understands the actual background, bootstrap design when he started out, all this good stuff. And we can even say in the marketplace, how are my services positioned in the market? Just a good, deep understanding. Boom. Look at this. Look at this. Imagine having a content writer that knows your business inside and out, and knows your industry inside and out, and it's based on everything that you feed it in terms of positioning and offer and segment and all that good stuff. This is where we come to reverse engineer titles, and this is so much more powerful, like I said, than just going and getting a random AI model to give you a BS content piece. Okay, So custom Claude agent, we built that and we use it religiously, and our human team perfects it on top. So they write the scripts, they write the briefs, they come up with the titles, and then we as the human team who have a marketing background go in and say, yes, not so much, I like that, and then we'll tweak it accordingly. However, the custom Claude agent, if you're not using AI in 2026, I mean, what are you really doing? Use it, but leverage it, and that's what we do. We don't just take it in post. There needs to be a little bit of nuance. Coming down here, this is where we get exciting, and this was the last stage in which we put that repeatable system for finding the right topics every single month, as I said here. So we do this for clients where we don't just go and say, hey, Claude, give us ideas. However, this Claude agent will give you much better ideas than regular Claude because it knows you if you went in and did that. But what we do is we do a deep keyword research specific to the niche of the client we're serving. So in this case, Akaza, and what his ICP may be actively searching for on YouTube using our YouTube search software. And then we'll take those and then reverse engineer them into titles. So here is the keyword research that we did on YouTube. And this is just roughly what somebody would be searching for if they're struggling with specific pain points around recruitment. So reducing employee turnover, automating recruitment process, talent acquisition strategy, candidate screening automation in make.com, AI and HR, ClickUp HR management. Now, what is very important to realize is that these don't always necessarily have to be specific to what you service as a company. So most of the time, you're not going to find a very, very hyper-personalized search. Like for Akaza, it's not going to be, hey, AI recruiting for enterprise software or for enterprise companies. You won't find that. However, you can find searches that person would most likely be searching for. So how to automate recruitment process. That's probably going to be something they're looking for because they're operating on legacy tools or they have no process. How to automate that. We can capture that. That's got 4,400 searches per month. Even over here, recruiting agency. That's somebody who is in market looking for recruiting agency. 9,000 searches per month. Recruitment agency, not recruiting recruitment. Look at the nuance there, 28,000. And then we capture these to make sure there's actual search volume. So we validate, and then we look at the competition. So for a lot of the competition it came back as very low. That's a huge opportunity to get in there and start making content around these specific search terms to get in front of people actively searching for that. So what did we do? We went in to the Claude agent and then we brainstormed with it saying, hey, we like these keywords. Let's map it now to a content strategy that influences the topics that we're choosing. So I'll show you here the content ecosystem. But before that, I want to talk about these three things here. A strong topic isn't necessarily just one based around keywords, which it can be, but it can rank something. It ranks for something your buyer is searching. So keywords, yes. However, it speaks directly to the pain or the belief or the objection your buyer is carrying. We did that in step 1. Remember, we did the ICP mapping, or step 2 it was. And then positions your offer as the next logical step. So that way there's a natural bridge between content and conversion. So these are the three things we keep in mind as we make content. So what we did for the first, this is 3 months, so 1 quarter of content, and we took all of those search terms and we essentially put them into different content types and styles to do a specific role in the content ecosystem. So you can see there's categories: myth busting, perspective shifting, organic, objection handling, frameworks, and tutorials. And just pause the video here and you can see how we've worded this in a way that's reverse engineered. So over here, 3 signs your HR automation will never work for your organization. Eeyore can come in and explain where there are certain mistakes inside enterprise companies and why they're not ready for HR automation yet, and then position Akaza on how they help with that at the end, subtly. Over here, hidden cost of investing in AI hiring tools. So it uses AI as hiring tools. However, he can show why other ones are not as good and why Akaza is the best one to do so. Or even don't automate your recruitment process without this, allowing him to show how his service or his software can help bridge that gap. Even down here, like the HR management system that stops the revolving door. That's people who are struggling with employee turnover. They're looking for an HR management system or AI and HR. This is something that compresses weeks of hiring into days. That's something that Akaza does because he actually has a case study where they built a strategy that cut hiring down to 2 steps. How fast are you able to hire, especially for enterprise that's hiring month over month? They need stuff like this that's based on the keywords They're all spoken to a specific pain point that they're struggling with and how we can bridge a casa as that next natural step. And that is so huge because we've now not only built a content ecosystem around these terms, but we're able to productize and manufacture creativity month over month based on the strategy as a whole and using the Claude AI agent. And I want to show you what bad content ideas would look like versus good ones and how we built it out. So you saw what we just did. However, these are bad topics. So how to write a better job posting. You're not going to sell anybody on that. They're in the how-to, like DIY mindset. They're broke, they don't want it. Or the history of applicant tracking systems. It's informational content with zero commercial intent. That's just like, oh, that's nice to know. It's not going to move the deal for you. Or 5 tips for writing interview questions. Lame. It's not going to do anything in a business setting. This is just people who are, again, looking for ways to improve their workflow internally themselves. What is skill-based hiring? Lame. How to use an ATS effectively. He is actually he is not an ATS, and many times he has to, or he wants to explain that he is so much more than that. So if you make a video how to use an ATS, even though it's HR related, it's going to do nothing. Yeah, see, it actively works against the CASA's positioning. We wrote it here. Or HI technology trends in 2025, HR. These are doing things that are just safe content. It's not actually showcasing expertise. It's not tying on a pain point. It's not bridging the gap between the pain as well as what they can actually do as a company for the specific buyer. So these are the 8 steps. How many was it? Was it 8? It was 8. I believe so. 7. How many steps was it? 7. Yeah, it's been a day. Anyways, this was the full YouTube video marketing strategy that we do from A to Z for your, and we do this for every client. So see where you can replicate this in your own business and see how much more nuance there is in terms of creating a marketing strategy that's so much more than just creating topics. If you're going to engineer your tech stack, if you're going to engineer your outbound systems and spend thousands of dollars on it, give your content the same TLC. This is not a job for the intern. This is a job for the other side of your GTM. Sales and marketing need to talk. And when they talk, everything elevates. When they're disconnected, everything disintegrates because you're creating cognitive friction in your prospect's mind. If you want help building this, we stand this up for B2B companies in 30 to 45 days, all tailored to your ICP, to your specific service offerings, your industry. Everything you've seen here that we've done for your, we do exactly for you. Copy and paste. However, the framework is copy and paste. The nuance is only dedicated to you. We work with B2B companies, SaaS, RevOps, GTMEs, recruitment firms, any agencies of any kind, always B2B related. We specialize in that. That is our bread and butter. Use the link below to open a conversation. Fill out those few questions to see if we're a good fit, and we'll be in contact with you to say, here's how we can do X, Y, and Z for your business and bring that repeatable marketing infrastructure to your business. Pre-sale pipeline, pre-warm pipeline, build pipeline, all these amazing things that your content can do the heavy lifting for. The link is in the show notes below. And if you're not ready to book a call yet, no worries. Click the video that you see on your screen here in the top corner. And I'm going to walk you through the whole step-by-step framework on how to do this in depth so you can plug and play it into your business or see what you're currently missing in your current content marketing.